everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Between the Pages Live. I'm Vicki, your host, and this is sponsored by the Southern Penn Bookshop, located in the Monroe Mercantile in downtown Monroe, Georgia. What makes us a unique bookshop is that all the titles we carry are by independent, self-published, small press, non-traditionally published authors. So that means they didn't go the traditional route of getting published. They are our rock stars. Between the Pages Live, what we do each week is we bring an author from the bookshop live to you so you can get to meet them, get to know them a little bit better, get to become acquainted with them, as well as kind of learn a little bit about their books that they have in the bookshop. So I want to say thank you very much for joining in. Remember, if you don't mind, and I'm looking for my little block. I try to be prepared tonight. I wasn't as bad as I normally am as far as running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But if you guys don't mind, just turn the page so your folks and your friends can know about all the great information that they can learn by turning the page. All right, so if you guys just don't mind turning the page. Now, if you notice, Mary's not with us tonight. I'm going to ask you guys to kind of keep Mary in your, I can hear you. Keep you in your thoughts and keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She's been kind of going through a little hard time lately with a little few health issues. So we're hoping that we're going to have Mary back soon with us. But she's in my ear. So that's what I meant while ago when I said, I can hear you. She just came in live in my ear. So bless you, Mary. I think she just sneezed. So anyway, if you guys don't mind, just tell Mary hello. Let her know that you're there with her. She always loves to hear from you guys. So just say, hey, Mary, and let her know that you're around. Okay, so let's get tonight started because we've got two awesome authors with us. So let's talk about our events and news. And I hope you guys noticed we have finally solved the lighting issue with the TV. I kept playing with, I am determined not to be overcome by technology. I'm gonna figure this stuff out. So anyway, you should be able to see the slides a lot better tonight. So our upcoming news and events for the Southern Penn Bookshop, don't forget the 1st of October, that is next month. We're going to open the submissions for the Georgia Independent Author of the Year Award for next year's selection of books. Now we're going to announce the winners for this year on September 26th at a banquet. Banquet tickets are on sale. You can purchase them through thesouthernpenn.com. Click on tickets. It's $35 for an individual, $60 for a couple, and if you want to do a table, we can do a table pricing for you. But if you have published a book, independently, non-traditionally published a book between January 1st and December 31st of this year, that book is eligible to be submitted for next year's award. So you have to be a Georgia author, and as I've explained before, the reason why we only offer this to our Georgia authors is because this is the only award in the state of Georgia that 100% recognizes the independent, non-traditionally published author. So this is kind of our way of recognizing the talent we have here in the state of Georgia. So the new guidelines will be coming up in the next couple of weeks on our website, southernpenn.com, and then registration will open for submissions on October the 1st. Now there is a submission fee of $50, and the only reason why we charge that $50 is because we have to pay our judges. They kind of like to, it's an honorarium that we give our judges for volunteering to give their time to read the books that we get and select our winners. So just mark that on your calendar. This past Tuesday, we had our second live sale. We did really good. We had Bruce Bly with Bly Pottery here. He came on and talked about several of his pieces of pottery. He actually got some folks to buy some pieces, so that meant the kids here at the house got some cat food for the week. So we want to say thank you for those who did attend our live sale this past Tuesday. Maggie Collins was with us too with her fall and Halloween home decor. She has some beautiful wreaths. And then, of course, I had a lot of merchandise from the Southern Penn Bookshop. Our next live sale is going to be in 2 weeks. It's going to be September the 14th. It's going to be a Tuesday night. We're going to start at 7:30. We usually run about an hour, hour and a half on our live sales. Now, Maggie Collins will be coming back. Hopefully, we may be able to get Chad Cheeley with Cheeley's General Store and Cafe to come and present some of his. He carries a lot of Melissa and Doug for kids. And so if you like the Melissa and Doug line of toys for children, he does carry that a good bit. And I'm going to be featuring some of the, college football season starting, I'm going to have a couple of books in the bookshop that I think if you're a UGA fan, you're going to absolutely love it. And we also, even though we're in the SEC, we did just get a book in this past week about the Ivy League colleges. So, so we're going to be featuring some of those books on our next live sale. If you'd like to have a sneak peek on some of the products that we're going to be offering and the promotions that we're going to be offering during our live sale, make sure you RSVP. You can do that on thesouthernpen.com under tickets and just click on purchase ticket for live sale. That doesn't cost you anything. Just register for it so we'll know to send you a sneak peek preview to what we're going to have for sale, the items we're going to have coming up. This past Wednesday, we had our second book trivia night. We had a great time. We had a wonderful group come in and share with us. Now, I know some folks did pre-register for the book trivia night that did not make it because, unfortunately, the link that Zoom gave me that I copied into the email that went to everybody who RSVP'd was not the right link. So if you did not get to join us on our book trivia night, and you did RSVP, I've got your names. I'm going to make sure you get the correct link for our next book trivia night. Barbara Tucker actually joined us. She was the author of the book that was featured last month, Bringing Abundance Back, and we had a great time with her. Our next book trivia night is going to be September the 30th. That is a Wednesday night at 7:30. This is about an hour event, so we try not to keep you too long. We do host it through Zoom. So if you'd like to RSVP for the book trivia night, you can also do that at the southernpen.com website under the tickets tab. Now, the featured book for this month is going to be by Tori Bailey. And if you don't know who Tori Bailey is, you're looking at her. Hey! The first book in the Coming Home series, The Second Chance at Goodbye, is going to be the featured book for this month. So the bonus questions are going to come from that book. So with that said, if you view and watch a lot of the Between the Pages Live and our live sales, you're going to get throughout the month, you're going to get a lot of good hints on some of the questions that you may see during the book trivia night. And tonight's trivia question is, which classic book chronicles the history of the French invasion of Russia through the stories of 5 aristocratic families? I'm going to repeat that again. Which classic book chronicles the history of the French invasion of Russia through the stories of 5 aristocratic families? If you know the answer to this question, make sure you let Mary know, because what she's going to do is she's going to keep track of all the answers that she received, who gave the answers. At the end of the night, we're going to have a drawing to select 2 winners who answered correctly. And our 2 winners are going to get these wonderful journals made out of, they're repurposed from old books to write your ideas, the story ideas, or down. So the winners tonight are going to get these 2 one of these 2 journals. All right. So if you know the answer to the question, just definitely just write it. Let Mary know. Alrighty. So with all that said, let me go and move to who we have here tonight. And I am so excited about having Julie and Rick Clarke with us. We have, in the past, we've had a lot of humor. We've had some romance, but tonight we're actually going to bring some history to you, some living history. So let me go ahead and introduce Julie and Rick Clarke to you. So Julie and Rick, come on in. Now guys, y'all get prepared because you're about to step back in time. All righty. And if you'll notice, Julie and Rick are dressed in their period clothing. All right. Thank you, Julie and Rick, for joining us. Hi. Hey.
Good to be here.
Good. Well, I'm glad y'all are here. Stand up and kind of do a turnaround, Julie, and let everybody see, and you see your outfit. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your attire tonight?
I'm dressed as a Civil War nurse, which is about my book on his third great grandmother, Pauline, who was a nurse during the Civil War.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So did you have to make this yourself, or were you able to order it, or what?
I pieced it together. I have different, I don't sew, so sometimes I go to the reenactments and they sell the clothes there, so this is like a mixture of that.
Gotcha. All right. And Rick, if you don't mind, go ahead and stand up and tell us a little bit about your attire and your outfit tonight.
Okay.
The different pieces and components of it.
Okay. I am dressed as a Confederate infantry person, and you'll notice that the sleeves are black, and that's infantry. If I was in cavalry, it'd be yellow. Mm-hmm. And then the doctor corps, I'm portraying the doctor, but he would actually have green.
Okay.
And so I have a hat that has a green cord,
okay.
and it has the medical insignia. And so Pauline's father was in the Confederate Army up to 1863, serving in Leighton Artillery.
All right.
And then this is where the cartridge book.
All right. And if you kind of just step a little bit closer to the camera,
yeah,
so they can see that part. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the cartridge bullets. And
all right. And also, one of our viewers would like to get a little bit more of an up close look at your hat. So if you could just take the hat just a little bit closer to the camera for them.
Okay. All right. And you'll notice it has the green, and then the medical, MS for medical surgeon. Yeah.
All right. Well.
And then I have these are real shoes. Now that's my least favorite part about reenacting is being in these shoes, because they're not comfortable.
They're not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband used to do a lot of living history over at Fort Yago, and that's one thing he complained about too, was the footwear, the shoes. Yeah. Now you have a medal pinned to your jacket. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, that was at one of the Sons of Confederate Veteran reunions. We would get a medal, and this has Joseph Wheeler. And then at some of the reenactments, they charge a fee, and to give you entry, you wear it to show that you've already paid.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it was a password, but then that could be easily stolen, the password, so they went to these ribbons. Right.
Now the title of the book, and you're going to have to help me with her middle name, is Pauline Can you pronounce that middle name?
Actually, I asked one of my co-workers once who was French, and he pronounced it Dalvini.
Dalvini, okay. Campbell, who is a Civil War nurse, and this is the book that you and Julie have put together. But before we get into the book, let's talk about a couple of things that's not book related. You guys are a part of the Scribblers, Christian writers group. Can you tell us a little bit about the Scribblers?
Well, he actually found the Scribblers in an advertisement, and we had never written a book before, neither one of us. So we thought, we had some ideas. So I'd kind of started the book on Pauline, but didn't know quite how to finish it. So they were a tremendous help to us in helping us to find resources, where to print the book, and lots of different advice.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So
you get a lot of roadblocks.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't. I understand that too, because I was like that when I first started working on my first book. I was just like, everybody always says, I'm going to write a book, you know, but nobody ever thinks about, okay, once you write the book, what you going to do as far as getting it published. And yeah, I understand it's a huge, huge learning curve. But the Scribblers is a group of writers who support each other by helping. You know, somebody may know how to do interior layout, somebody may know how to do cover design, somebody may understand social media. So you guys kind of put your talents together, don't you?
Right. So if somebody's made a mistake, they're willing to share it so we don't have to go through that same mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the founder of the Scribblers is Charles de Adrande, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he initially started out with a small chapter, around North Atlanta? Norcross. And how many chapters has the Scribblers grown into?
I think there's 4, maybe 5. I don't know the count. It's growing very rapidly.
Yeah.
We've got Tampa, Macon, there's one in Norcross, one in Snellville. So at least that many.
At least 4,
Yeah.
maybe 5 coming up.
Yeah, and there's the Tampa, Florida one is the okay. Yeah, and so I mean, wow, it's really growing. And you guys kind of go in together to do events together. You kind of split and share the cost. Like if you wanted to do the Decatur Book Festival, which is very, very pricey if you want to do it by yourself. But so. Well, that's really good that you guys, you know, and that's one of the Scribblers is more than just a writers group. It's a lot of a support group of writers coming in supporting each other.
Definitely.
Well, cool beans. And if anybody would like to know more about Scribblers, y'all have a website?
It's scribblersweb.com.
Mm-hmm.
So
if if anybody's
there's a Facebook page also.
Okay, and there's a Facebook. Awesome. So if you're a writer and you're looking for a good support group, that's not just a writers or critique group, but a group that you can come together and learn ways to market your books, then Scribblers would definitely be an awesome group for you to get into. So if you'd like to know more about them, you can definitely look up for their Facebook page, Scribblers, or their website, scribblersweb.com. And I think they have you guys get a monthly newsletter too.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I know Charles is always up on top of everything. All right, so let's talk about. I thought I had a picture of them, but I guess you guys have cats. And I know you sent me a picture of the cats, and I thought I put them in the slides, but I guess I didn't. So tell me about your cats.
Well, we don't have kids, so our cats are babies.
I understand.
They're 7 years old now. Tell them the names.
Peaches and Cotton.
Peaches and Cotton. Now, did they come to get? I like that. I like that. Mary likes that too.
Yeah, they're sisters. Yeah.
They're sisters. Yeah, mine's like, damn you and get out of it. So, but so they came together as sisters or litter mates.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and y'all had them for 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Cotton has some gray, so I said she'll be my cat since she's already in a Confederate uniform.
Gotcha. All right.
And they're long-haired cats, and I didn't realize how much of a maintenance that they were. I'd always had short hair.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize that got to comb them every day, at least once a week.
Oh yeah, Winston's my first long-haired I've had in a long time, and Winston is the orange cat you guys see every once in a while. And y'all probably will not see Winston tonight because he doesn't take kindly to men.
Oh.
Now, Screech will come around, but Winston's he's around, but you're probably not going to see him because anytime I have a male visitor in the house, Winston goes non-existent. I just saw Screech. Yeah, there goes Screech. But Winston, yeah, you're constantly having to brush them or else they get the hair
mats,
the mats. Yeah. And I tell you, I don't know about Peaches and Cotton, but Winston, he'll just roll over on his back and just go up and just let you just brush his stomach. Most cats won't let you touch their stomachs. Yes, Screech.
Right on cue.
We have one cat that just loves it. She's kind of our little diva cat. We have a routine. We go in the bathroom, and she'll jump up there, and sometimes she'll even try to turn on the water to get your attention. She
Yeah.
can do it with her head.
Yeah.
But she just stares in the mirror and she just loves to be combed. But the other one we have trouble with.
Yeah. Mary just said that it's Orange Cat Appreciation Day, so maybe Winston's probably somewhere waiting for me to pamper him or something. But yeah, I know what you're talking about with water, because we call Winston the water commissioner. So yeah, and they will do things to get your attention. So, but you guys do a lot of reenactment. What are some of the different places you guys have gone to do your reenactments at?
Manassas was the first one that we did during the 150th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing we should have learned is that they try to do it when the actual battle was done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Manassas was done in July,
Oh,
so it was over 100 degrees. And Julie has pictures in her book of the actual reenactment.
Yeah.
And my cousin and her husband, they went and found us in the encampment.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't stay in the tents, it was too hot.
Oh, I bet. So now when you do the reenactment, now we've got a couple of pictures of you, Julie. Usually there's like a ball or something. So you have two types of dress
Yes.
that you wear. You have your common casual every day, and then you have your
Your
evening.
ball gown,
Yeah. And I think we have a picture of you guys dressed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Now, one thing I noticed in one of the pictures, Julie, and I love this, the lower right picture of Julie in the dress. I love your hat in that particular one. That is a pretty hat. But I noticed that you were playing one of these.
Yes.
Can you tell us what this is and a little bit about what got you started and everything? I'm trying to get all the dirt and the dust off of it. Dirt and dust in my house is protective covering.
This is a dulcimer. Now there's different types of dulcimers, but this is like the Appalachian or mountain dulcimer, and it really goes in your lap as opposed to some of the hammered dulcimer types. But I took this up a few years ago, and I kind of taught myself on YouTube, and then the church I belong to in Houston has a dulcimer choir, so that it got started up, so I participated in that and learned a lot about it.
Do you think
But I
you could,
love it.
do you think you could like play us a little tune here? Just a little
I
song?
don't, you have a, well, I can try to.
I don't have a pen. No, I don't have a pen.
Well, let's see. Get this situated.
Y'all didn't know we were gonna get live music tonight, did you? And Julie didn't know she was gonna get asked to play either.
All right, I'm a little rusty. I haven't been practicing lately, so let's see. Might not be tuned. One thing you need to do is tune it, and it doesn't sound like it's tuned. It's not tuned.
That's okay. Well, thank you very much.
So it wouldn't sound too pretty, but
It wouldn't sound- yeah, this is actually my husband's, and it's more something that props up against the fireplace and collects a lot of dust. But thank you for talking to us about it a little bit. I love the sound of dulcimer, and it's like you said. And when I hear a dulcimer, I automatically go to the North Georgia mountains. Yeah.
yeah.
So, oh, here's the kitty cats. Here's Peaches and Cotton. I knew I had pictures of them. Alrighty. Now, let's kind of talk a little bit about your ancestor, Pauline. You're the third great-grandson of Pauline Campbell. And here's some pictures of you. Now, the very first picture up here on the top, that's your kind of your dress picture, right? That's got the top hat and
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Civilian.
Civilian dress.
Civilian.
All right. Now, I love the picture on the bottom right. The one. Now, do you actually own a long rifle?
Yes.
What kind of?
It's an Enfield, just like they used back during that time.
All right.
It's
And
a replica, yeah.
all right. And is that the one where you would have to do the gunpowder
Yes.
and the flint and everything?
Yes.
I watch Outlander. I am a huge. Anybody who's watched me on Between the Page and Live know I am a huge Outlander. And I'm in the 5th season where Brianna is learning how to do the long to shoot the long, and she's teaching Roger, her husband. And I'm just thinking, Lord, if a bear was coming at me and I had to do all that, I would just like throw the gun down and run. Because there's a lot of tricks to that, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to be methodical. And instead of flint, they're using percussion cap.
Mm-hmm.
And I even found one of my ancestors' original percussion caps, and it had the mercury in it.
Uh-huh.
And to your point, a single person is not effective, and that's why we'd have to march in the infantry in formation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have like the front row would fire, and then the back row would fire, so that it takes so long to load and fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you would fire in different ranks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, was there sometimes that you might have somebody beside you and that their sole job was to load and hand you the rifle and then load the kind of switch back and forth?
Yeah, sometimes
they were the loader.
Sometimes we're in the trenches. Only one row can get there, so then the man behind you are helping you reload, so you can keep this, because we want to keep the steel hot and heavy on the enemy. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about Pauline. Now, you're the third great-grandson. Now, how did you find out about her being in your family tree?
From my grandmother. She thought that Pauline was her grandmother, but she skipped a generation because Julie did. She was skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I did the research and stuff. Yeah, at first I didn't believe in me and all this fascinating family history. And it's like, okay, her father, Pauline's father, was the role model for Dr. Meade, Gone with the Wind. And so I decided, and so I was studying genealogy, and I'd done a lot of genealogy. So I started putting two together, and I'm like, there's a missing generation.
Mm-hmm.
So his family was actually able to give us a picture of her.
Oh, wow.
And so, so it's just it was a communication thing. His grandmother called her grandmother, but she was really her great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get that because, see, I grew up knowing my mom's grandmother, my great-grandmother, and we called her Granny Lucy. You know, even though she was our great-grandmother, you know, we called her Granny Lucy because that's what my mom called her, was because she was her grandmother. So it wasn't like we went around and say great-grandmama Lucy. We just called her Granny Lucy. So, I mean, I can see how that happened. Now, did you use like Ancestry.com or did you just start going through archives and things like that?
Well, started with actually Family Search or the Latter-day Saints website.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on got into Ancestry.com. We've been doing this, researching it over about 24 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there wasn't a whole lot out there, and now there is a whole lot. Sometimes we can just Google because his name is so unique that we can find information.
Now, your last name is Clarke with an E at the end of it. Now, is there any relations between your last name and Clarke County, Georgia?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I've often wondered, but no.
All right.
I don't think so.
Now, were you actually able to get any writings or letters or anything that was in her words about her time being a Civil War? Because, I mean, when you think the Civil War, you always think about it from the war side of it, the fighting side, the male side of it, but you don't think about the roles that women played in it. And I actually have a real good friend of mine who is a paramedic, and that's one of the things that she really got an interest in, was playing the role of a Civil War nurse in reenactments. And I told her about you guys, and then I said, hey, if you can tune in and watch, this is going to be the thing for you, because you really don't hear a whole lot about the roles that women played. So tell us a little bit about what Pauline's life would have been like.
Okay, well, she was a farmer's wife, and she just, because of her father being a surgeon, when the war came, he kind of volunteered his whole family as nurses.
Okay.
He said gratis, free of charge.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about finding in her own words, you know, I'm going to say that we did in our research find her actual words, and we were going through a scrapbook. She was part of the Women's Pioneer Society, and one of her friends, Sarah Huff, had was a little bit more out there in the history books than Pauline. We had never seen Pauline in the history book before. That's one reason we had done the book. And then we found an article in her own words.
Oh.
And so it tells about her experiences during the time of when she was forced from her home at Peachtree Creek up until into the Reconstruction. So the nursing aspect of it was that she was a matron, which meant that she was like over any kind of staff. In the Confederacy, it was a prestigious thing. Of course, I think her father probably, you know, helped taught her, you know, all that she knew about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I didn't find any. She didn't really say anything about her father, so I don't have that direct information. But
Right.
we can just suppose, you know, from her writings that she did Sarah Huff writings too. That Sarah Huff said that she was out there helping him with the wounded, doing the amputations mostly.
Yeah.
That they had to do a lot.
But I'll add that when they were helping, shots were being fired around them. There were bullets falling.
Yeah, they were
them.
literally in the line of fire on the
Yeah.
battlefield. They wasn't like behind in a tent somewhere.
Well, the battle came to them. Now,
Yeah.
they were far behind the lines at first, but then during the battles of Atlanta, it came in closer.
So what part of it of modern day Atlanta today would be where they were?
Okay, they were at the Atlanta Medical College, which is on the present day grounds of Grady Hospital.
Okay,
That's
all
where
right.
they would be. And then the Battle of Atlanta took place on July 22nd, 1864. And that's just east of Atlanta.
Right.
And then there's the Battle of Peachtree Creek right before that on the 20th. And in fact, Pauline lived near Peachtree Creek, but her account in the book says around July 5th, that's when they had to leave because the Yankee cavalry crossed the Chattahoochee River.
Right.
Their home place was right on the Chattahoochee River near.
Now we actually have some pictures. You said you had found some pictures, and we've got the pictures of Pauline right here. The smaller one is the actual picture that is you guys use on the cover. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the bigger picture with her standing? Because with her standing, do you have any information about that?
That's actually Helen Campbell Bowler.
That's Pauline's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Pauline's daughter, and she was
5 years old.
5 years old
During the siege of Atlanta.
with her when she was Sherman was shelling Atlanta and everything.
Wow. So now once the Battle of Atlanta was over, you said she remained in Atlanta during the Reconstruction time. I mean, you go from being, you know, this nurse who is literally helping save lives, that's doing pretty much probably a lot of what is considered a man's work. Did she just go back to get married and go back into her normal life of getting married, raising children, having a home, or was she a little bit of a leading person?
We got to correct you on one thing. She did stay in Atlanta after the surrender because only 500 citizens were allowed to remain, but they had to be essential.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Cool.
So she was not allowed to remain, but her father was because he was looking after the Union.
Right.
So she had to evacuate south.
So they only allowed 500 essential people to stay within.
Yeah. Yes, because Sherman, this was an unusual thing because he had bombarded civilians, which hadn't been done in history before.
Right.
And he was really criticized for it. But he didn't want to. He wanted his army to advance. He didn't want to. He wanted to capture an army and not the cities.
Right.
So he didn't want any civilians there.
Right.
To harass his army.
Gotcha. All right.
And then there was another part of your question. Okay, now you can answer her point about where what she did, after the war and at the end about the family.
She had a lot of kids. She ended up with 13 kids. Actually, her husband did come back from the war. He was off at war. She talks a little bit about that. But they had to rebuild pretty much.
Oh yeah. Everything was pretty much taken away.
He had to rebuild their home and back.
So she was almost killed. She had some near-death experiences. So.
I bet she did.
Yeah.
I bet she did. She probably had a lot of guardian angels watching over her.
Yeah.
Now, you guys kind of briefly touched on her father, which is Dr. Paul Noel, he was a doctor, like you guys said, and he's probably where she got a lot of her medical knowledge and everything. But this is the part you briefly touched on. Margaret Mitchell actually used Pauline's dad, Dr. Noel, to model the character Dr. Meade after her, right?
Yes, my grandmother never told me that. So I'm going to Oakland Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in Atlanta.
Beautiful cemetery.
The historian is there, and I go, I want to find Dr. Dalvini's grave. And he goes, oh, you mean the real Gone with the Wind doctor. He's in the honored Confederate dead section. And your family are fine citizens. Fine citizens of Atlanta. I go, okay.
Wow.
So I said, well, I better go find out what they did. So then I did, and they did a lot.
Okay. Now, is your ancestry to Pauline and Noel, is this on your mom's side or is it on your father's side?
Father's side.
Father's side?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, now, I guess you never found out why Margaret Mitchell picked Dr. Noel to be.
I think that he had a intense personality, strong personality.
You can kind of see that in his face in the picture. The picture on the right is Dr. Noel. The one in color is Dr. Meade. Yeah, you can kind of see that.
Yeah. And so when his medical college was going to be burned, he wasn't going to have it. So his hands were severely burned because he tried to put out the kindling that was going to start. And then he tricked Sherman by telling them that he had been in 3 armies and never saw it where they would burn wounded men.
Wow.
And so they go, there are no wounded men. He goes, come upstairs. He got his staff to pretend like they were wounded and gave them something to vomit so that they couldn't be moved.
Yeah.
They go, well, you have one more day to get these men out of here and then we're burning it. Well, the rush to Savannah was so quick that they didn't have time to burn the medical college. And the medical college today is Emory School of Medicine. Okay,
and that was going to be a question I was going to ask you is well, first of all, he had a medical college, so he was training people to become doctors.
Yes.
And so his medical college is where Emory University is now.
Well, it would be where Grady is now.
Grady is?
They use Grady to train Emory doctors.
Gotcha. All right, cool beans. And y'all have got some awesome pictures. I mean, wow, I was really impressed with the pictures you guys sent me. The very, very top picture of the slide is a panoramic view of Atlanta. About what year was that?
That would be 1864.
All right.
Yes, and it's before Sherman burned it.
It was before the burning of Atlanta?
Yes.
All right, and then you sent me a historical marker that talks about the Confederate hospital, and that's the hospital that Dr. Noel started, right?
Actually,
that's a Milner.
Milner. The hospitals moved because of the impending war and battles coming in, they had to move the patients.
Mm-hmm.
So it was called the Medical College Hospital in Atlanta. It was called the Atlanta Medical College, but when it moved to Milner, it was called the Medical College Hospital. And Willis Westmoreland was over that, and that's when Pauline left Atlanta after it was taken, and was the matron at this hospital in Milner.
Okay, all right. And now the picture to the right of the historical marker. And now, what I guess compound or what is that? One of the hospitals?
That's the Atlanta
Medical College, in the one in Atlanta.
The one that has the cupola at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the bottom picture is Grady Hospital, and the older picture is Grady Hospital in 1896.
Yeah, 92 if I remember right.
Okay, and then the present day.
Yeah.
So that is so interesting. You know, and that's the reason why history is so important. I mean, it really tells you where your roots are, where your foundations come from. So that is so interesting. Now you sent me a picture of a church.
Oh, yes.
What's the story behind the church?
Well, Pauline was born in Charleston, South Carolina, and so Rick and I made a trip there, trying to find out more information, and we found out that this is the church where Pauline's mother was buried. We thought in the cemetery, so we went looking, and then we discovered she was actually built. The church was built over where her grave was. So we never found the marker, but it's in one of the books that she is buried at that cemetery
In Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston. It's the St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we knew we were at the right spot because we found their baptism record from 1848.
Wow. Well,
And
that's one thing the Catholics are good about, is keeping records.
Yeah.
So that,
We saw where a few children had not made it, so there were only two, Pauline and her brother Charles, that survived.
so do
Two
you?
adults, yeah.
Two adulthood, yeah.
Wow, and that's not uncommon because of the lack of the disease and the lack of medicine and everything.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what made her family move to the Atlanta area from Charleston?
Oh yes, after his first wife died, and then malaria would be, that comes from mosquitoes, and so all the coastal areas had a lot of malaria.
Yeah, that
So
low
they-
country.
So we believe that he came to Atlanta in 1849 or 50 to be in a better, healthy climate.
Yeah. He didn't know that mosquitoes followed him, did he? Because I tell you what,
Yeah.
sometimes I think I can go out my front door and they'll tote you off. So, now the answer to tonight's trivia question, Mary, did we get any answers? Yes, War and Peace, that is correct. So, Amos, thank you for, I think you were the only one who answered that one correctly, so you're going to get, make sure you give Mary your mailing address so I can mail you one of the journals. Now, you guys brought some show and tell with you, so
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys show our viewers some of the different things that you have.
Okay. You want me to you show something and then I'll show something.
Oh yeah, I just thought this was really cool. I got a Gone with the Wind mask. I had that especially ordered.
Okay, and
yeah.
then you have a unique mask too.
Yes.
Oh yes, go
Yeah,
ahead and show
so
your
this
mask while
one-
we're talking about it.
This is depicting the Battle of Atlanta. And so on one side you see the American flag, and on the other side you see the Confederate battle flag.
Now, do you actually wear that out in public now?
Yes,
Oh, you do?
yes, but it's so small that the flag doesn't offend anybody because they don't know what it is.
I was about to ask you about that, and that is something I kind of want to loop around and talk about in a little bit, but I don't want to interrupt your show and tell. So why don't y'all
that's
go
okay.
ahead continue to show our viewers this great stuff that you've brought.
A friend of mine gave me a collector plate of Gone with the Wind. Of course, we're collecting Gone with the Wind stuff or anything that has to do with, especially Dr. Meade. But Dr. Meade is kind of hard to find, so I have to take what I can get on the. But yeah, Gone with the Wind, of course, is our favorite movie. Donna Barron gave me this, and we do a lot of presentations together. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me kind of pause you there. Donna Barron is going to be one of the guest authors on our show coming up in the next couple of weeks. She is the daughter to the man who was the last person to work on the etching on Stone Mountain. So she is going to be bringing in a lot of stuff that from her dad's work to share and talk about the work that he did as the last carver on the Stone Mountain etching.
And that'll be the last monument that will fall or be taken down.
You want me to hand you something?
Okay, then I'll show you this. Now this, okay, here's a picture of Sherman. And here's Sherman. And so he said, war is total hell. And he made it that way because he bombed Atlanta, and this is taken from my aunt's yard, and she lived on Donley Avenue in Atlanta. She dug it up out of her garden and had it by her fireplace, and it's good at solid shot, otherwise it would explode.
Yeah.
And they still find cannonballs in Atlanta.
Oh, I bet they do.
Like when they do construction, and you never want to drill into a cannonball because even though it's over 150 years old, it can still explode, and people have been killed.
Oh, I bet.
So, and then this is a picture of Solomon Lucky, who wasn't so lucky. On August 9th, a cannonball came whizzing down and hit a lamppost. Now, one of the oldest companies in Atlanta was Atlanta Gaslight Company. They were started in about 1854, and they still exist today, Georgia Natural Gas. And they had a lamppost at the time of the war. And one of them hit the lamppost, ricocheted, and hit Solomon Lucky in the leg. And he was at Whitehall and Alabama Street, which is near today present 5 Points MARTA station.
Okay, gotcha.
So he was still alive, and they brought him to my great-grandfather, Dr. Now my grandmother pronounced his name Dr. Dalvini. And he attempted to save his life by amputating his leg, but he died later of shock. They moved the lamppost because of construction, and it's at the Atlanta History Center, and they have it on display, and then they have a kiosk that talks about Dr. Dalvini trying to save his life.
Okay.
But the key thing is there were about 20 African Americans that were free, that had bought their freedom. Like he was able to pay for his freedom by being a barber. So his master would have let him pay for his freedom, and then he made some money. But a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, when we think about the South before the Civil War, that if you were automatically African American, you were automatically a slave. And that wasn't always necessarily true, because there were a lot of African Americans that were free and that were actual business owners. There was some business owners that in Savannah. I have Christy Breedlove has done a lot of research with writing her Cozy Mystery series, because she actually puts in with one character's ancestor helped with the Underground Railroad, and the way that the signal, whether or not things were safe or not, was a particular quilt hanging on the clothesline.
Oh yes, that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because they would do a map
Uh-huh.
of the area on the quilt.
Mm-hmm.
And the slaves knew to look at it to
Right.
know the escape route and know where water was.
Yeah, exactly. But also, you know, and it kind of, you know, I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of shocking to me that to learn that, you know, that there were African Americans that were free and that even owned their own businesses and were successful. So it wasn't like everybody was, you know, enslaved. So, but and I'm not saying that that justifies what happened. It's just I'm saying that you this again loops back around why it's so important to learn the history. And and when I say learn the history, I'm talking about get out of the textbook. Go out and start looking at other resources that talks about a particular time period that you're interested in. One thing, you know, go and look at what the legislature was back during that time period. Go back and look at what Congress was debating on the floor and see what the legislature was that was going on during that time period, because I think that helps too understand a lot of the tone of what was going on. So, you know, you can't just trust what's in a textbook. I think you got to get out and find people like you who are kind of the living history of it.
Yeah, and this last, either in April or May of this year, they paid the last Civil War pension.
Did that? Yeah, I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that.
And I'll just ask this question, and you know, do you think it's from a Union veteran or a Confederate veteran?
I think it was Confederate, wasn't it, or was it Union?
It was both.
That's right.
And so what's ironic is that
that's right.
It's amazing that someone that started out as a Confederate soldier survived, got captured at Gettysburg, made his way to Union lines in Tennessee and fought for the Union.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that someone that actually was in the war was able to reconcile with the North.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a lot of people that can't reconcile with their history.
Exactly, you know, and again, I think it's just, I think it gets really skewed to the agenda that a particular side wants to push at that point in time. Yeah. But you mentioned Tennessee. You know, my husband and I lived in the Middle Tennessee area for 5 years, and in the county that we lived in, part of that county was called Union. There was a road called Union Ridge, and the reason why was because even though Tennessee was part of the Confederate States, that didn't always mean that everybody in that state agreed with the Confederate side. I mean, that state was that particular county was divided in itself because half of it was Confederate and the other half was Union. So I mean, within that one county, you had that division.
Yes,
so.
And you've heard of Howard University.
Yes.
For Union General Oliver Howard, after the war, started the Freedmen's Bureau. And so then I'm writing a book on Pauline's father, Noel. Well, he worked for the Freedmen's Bureau that was started by General Howard. Mm-hmm. And since a lot of the Southerners in Tennessee were loyal, he wanted to reward them. So do you know the name of the university that he started for the Southerners to reward them in Tennessee that still exists today?
The university? College of the South?
It's Lincoln Memorial.
Okay.
He loved Lincoln,
and
so he started Lincoln Memorial. It's near the Cumberland National Park.
Okay, all right.
Near Corbin, Kentucky, but it's inside Tennessee.
Yeah,
and there's relics from Abraham Lincoln that you can't find anywhere else but at that university.
At that university, that is so cool. I know that when we used to go back and forth, Tennessee and here, we would go by. I think it was the University of the South College. But anyway, I may not be calling it right. But anyway, that is so interesting. You know, Bruce and I took a couple years ago. We went up to Williamsburg, Virginia, because I've always I'm a huge American Revolutionary War nut. I love anything American Revolutionary War.
DAR.
Yeah.
I'm in the DAR.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm in here. Are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have just started working on my genealogy. I did my DNA test through Ancestry and got it back, and it came back majority English, Northern England, around Wales, which I had heard that some of my family came from Wales. And I was so crossing my fingers on this, and the other part of me was Scott-Irish, and I was like, yes! That's the reason why I like Jamie so much in Outlander. But anyway, no, that's just because he's hot. But anyway, but yeah, I'm beginning to work on that. But anyway, we went through Richmond, and we went through the cemetery in Richmond, and it was my husband. I wish he was here tonight, because he would just absolutely. He is a huge history buff, and it's not just one particular period of history. He is all over the map with history. He is a. I tell him he has a microchip for a brain because he knows so much. But we actually got to go through the cemetery, and he took me by the graves
Hollywood?
and everything. Yeah, Hollywood's up in Richmond. But he said, I want to see the monuments before they get taken down, because we even knew 2-3 years ago that the clock was about to run out on those monuments.
They're down.
Yeah, I know, and I was, I told him,
Except Ash.
Huh?
Except the tennis player Ash is still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And we got some beautiful pictures of them, and I'm glad that we did, because now, unfortunately, that's going to be the only way you're going to ever know those monuments there. So, and I tell you, I heard something not too long ago. Like I said, my husband watches the History Channel a lot, and I think they were talking about Auschwitz, which was the concentration camp with the Jews. And they, the commentary said, even though this is a horrific piece of history for the Jewish, that they don't want it taken down because they never want to forget.
And also Eisenhower made sure that he brought people to take photographs and all, because he was afraid people would say they were making up lies, because it was so horrific.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people couldn't believe anyone would do that.
Exactly, and I've watched documentaries with Bruce on World War II, and they have, that commentators have said that, there was always rumored and knowledge of the concentration camps, but they never truly understood how bad they were until they got in there towards the end of the war.
And I worked for the Jewish Federation for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a Bremen Museum, and they have a Holocaust Museum.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for coming in and sharing a piece of your family history with us, which, right now seems to be a hotbed topic, and there's a lot of passionate emotions on both sides of the issue and everything. But I want to say thank you very much for coming and sharing with us.
Did you want to ask me about the flag?
We're about to run out of time.
Okay.
I normally would, but I
Okay.
try to keep it an hour because
Okay.
I know folks probably want to go get dinner.
Okay. All right.
So
I'm all for that.
All
Yeah.
righty, but thank you so much.
We really enjoyed it. Thank you
Well,
for having us.
I appreciate it. Don't forget, next week we're going to have Lori Duff with us. She is a humorist and comedian. She has got about 5 books out right now, and she is becoming very nationally known and recognized for her work. We're tickled to have her in the book shop, and she's going to join us here next Thursday night on Between the Pages Live. And don't forget to tune in, so you'll also get another trivia question next week. If you are an independent, non-traditionally published author and you'd like to get your books into the Southern Pen Book Shop, just make sure you go to our website, southernpen.com, and click on Author Submissions. It's going to take you to the page that explains what we do for our authors, how we vet the books, and what it takes to become an author in the book shop. So don't forget to turn the page and let your friends know about us. You can also follow us on Instagram, and I think we got a Twitter account, but I think Mary handles that because I don't touch Twitter and I don't touch Instagram. I just work with the Facebook page. But also don't forget to register for our newsletter on southernpenn.com so you can keep up with the news and events and happenings with the book shop. And as I always say, there's two things a book should never be judged by. One is its cover, and the second is how it's printed. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for letting us introduce you to your favorite independent author. God bless, be safe, and see you guys next week.